Hey everybody, DeLongShot Signatures here. It has been quite some time since I've posted a video on here. I'll do a little bit of explaining, but I do want to kind of keep this video under an hour, and there's a lot that I could talk about. But after the IMSA race, I was a little burnt out on posting on social media. It took forever to, get the videos ready, get all the posts on Instagram, do all the stuff that I do behind the scenes, getting it all sorted and, keeping track of who I have and whatnot. And I was like, all right, I'll take a couple weeks off. And that ended up being a full month. And then I was like, maybe I just don't want to post anymore because it's going to take a very, very long time to get stuff posted. And I realized that I just didn't have as much time for the back end of the hobby as I wanted. Obviously, the videos themselves take however long the video is to record, but there's also the uploading it and trying to make a thumbnail picture, which doesn't take super long, getting it uploaded. All the while, I've got work, I've got life, I've got all that other stuff going on, and there's only so many hours in the day. And for those of you that do TTM collecting, do in-person autograph collecting, you know how much time it takes to be able to do all of that. And I was losing a lot of time to be able to do the actual collecting, and I wanted to focus on that a little bit more. So I'm still collecting through the mail. I am still doing in-person stuff, and I'm going to share what I got at this year's Squared Circle Expo. A whole bunch of autographs. I don't even have a number. I don't care what the number is. I just want to share what I got and talk a little bit about the experiences. But for those of you that follow me on Instagram, I already mentioned some of this before about different things going on. I think I mentioned last year with the whole garage breaking and having to pay money on it. I've had to get repairs done to the car. That takes time, that takes money, working some overtime and everything. We've been very busy at work, expanding the company. It's growing, but I try to get overtime when I can. But obviously, with the current market and everything, it's not always an option to be able to do that. And the thing that sucks is when things aren't great economically, and the only thing that you can really do is work to make money. And because things aren't great economically, there's not enough work, for that kind of stuff. Um, Fantastic that we're living in 2008 again. This time I get to be the adult in this situation. But the biggest thing that has happened since I've posted a video here on YouTube was I did lose my cat. Had to have her put down on March 2nd. It was very difficult, but very necessary. And I won't talk too much about it. I'll just start crying, and that's not what this video is about. But I did lose Gizmo after 20 years, and like I said, it was really, really tough, especially the last few months. She had been dealing with kidney disease for 2 or 3 years at that point. I could tell it was getting worse, and I thought back in January I was going to have her put down. Took her to the vet, and they were able to give me 6 more weeks with her. And then the day that I, had to make that decision, it was very clear and obvious that she wasn't going to get any better. She passed away from heart failure. Well, obviously, being put down, but she was experiencing heart failure. And so it was different. Definitely could be linked to the kidney disease, but also just being 20 years old, always a small cat. And up until the last day, I mean, she was pretty close to her normal self. So for what it went about as well as it could have. But it was still very tough, and still obviously processing it a little bit. But it after the first few days, it's been easier getting used to it. Not the first time I've lost a pet, but I know she was in the videos from time to time. You guys would hear her meow from the other room, or when I was upstairs still, you'd hear her as she was in the room. And I showed you guys on camera one time what she looked like. So obviously that that took up a lot of my time. I don't know if I'm going to get back to posting regularly on here, and I probably am done with Instagram posting on there. Just it just takes too much time. But I really have appreciated everyone who's commented and messaged me and everything like that over the years. And maybe I'll just do the in-person autographs because these are always fun to share. There's more stories to it and everything. So we'll get started with that. We're going to start with the purchases that I got from the Squared Circle Expo wrestling convention. Went there last year, did pretty good. Was way more prepared this year. As far as the purchases go, these were ones that I specifically picked out, and then I got a few from Pro Wrestling Loot. Because they were there in person, I felt more comfortable buying from them, but never did get a resolution on the order that I placed last year, which really sucks, and I didn't want to cause a scene at a convention and get kicked out or anything by bringing it up. So I just said, screw it, I'll just buy a couple things and let bygones be bygones. First one, I don't know who it is. This is a pull that I got from Pro Wrestling Loot. So if anyone can tell me who the heck this is, I would be greatly appreciative. Otherwise, we are going to go in alphabetical order. First one is Barry Horowitz, who was in one of the Pro Wrestling Loot box, or was in the Pro Wrestling Loot box. Got Bobby Fulton, so I now have two of those. I got this for $35 at one of the vendors, and it looks to be pretty legit. Hall of Famer Booker T. We got another Hall of Famer here who was scheduled to be at Squared Circle Expo and then just canceled, didn't give a reason why. Greg Valentine, did get to meet him last year, so that's an extra. Got another extra of Honky Tonk Man. I gave the other one to a buddy of mine who told me about the event, and so I gave him that as well as a few autographs that I got for him on that I purchased. And so the Greg Valentine, Bobby Fulton, and Honky Tonk Man I'll probably just throw up for real cheap on eBay. I don't really have too many other friends that are into wrestling that would want these. And I'm not looking to make, a ton of money on it. So hopefully another fan is able to get it and enjoy it. From Pro Wrestling Loot, I went through their binder, and they have a whole bunch of extra autographs. But it's a lot of the same people. It wasn't a ton of variety. But I grabbed a Missy Hyatt autograph. And what they had for the deal today was buy two, get one free. It was originally buy two, get one half off. And so I was like, I might as well just grab a third one. And so that was the third one that I picked. Then at another vendor, got a Nikita Koloff. This one was cool. This one was $50, but considering he is still active in WWE and is currently a champion, and it's got an awesome inscription, and it's JSA certified, I said, screw it, let's do it. What's up, R-Truth? Then also from Pro Wrestling Loot, I wish I could have found one with a full signature on it, but he doesn't really seem to do that anymore. But WWE Hall of Famer Rob Van Dam. Missed out on him at WrestleCon last year. When I bought the R-Truth autograph, they were like, all right, you get a chance to spin the wheel. So I was like, all right, I'll probably just get, like a bag or a, thermos or something like that. And instead, I got a Thea Hale autograph. I guess all of the names that were on there were autographs that they were giving away. So I was like, heck yeah. This was the most money that I spent on any of the items there. I originally said no and then went to all the other vendors and was looking for a few things and found some stuff, but I still had more money than I thought I was going to by the end. I said, well, complicated dude, but important in wrestling history. We'll see if he makes the Hall of Fame. I don't know how that's going to work. But this one was expensive. I'm not even going to tell the price. But Vince McMahon. Not a great autograph, but better than some of the even more recent ones that I've seen, where it's literally just a V and a line. So that's it's something. And then to end off the purchases, we got 2 Hall of Fame tag teams. First one is going to be inducted this year: Demolition, Axe, and Smash. And the other one, I didn't have enough money or time to meet these guys at WrestleCon last year. So I think this one was $80, which is what it would be if I were to meet them. It'd probably be even more. The Dudley brothers, Bubba Ray and Devon. So those are the purchases. Didn't get to meet these people, but fantastic additions to my wrestling collection. All right, and now I will show off all of the autographs of people I got to meet. One person I did not meet. A buddy of mine was there, and as I was waiting or as I finished up being in one line, he was in line for this person. And so I ran over to him, gave him some cash. I'm like, I just need an autograph. And he hooked me up. So I will show that later. I'm pretty sure I got every person that like I definitely wanted, and quite a few that I, wanted if I still had money and time and everything. The only person that I missed out on was Soraya. She was Friday only, and I was in one line that started late, and then her flight in was late, so she started an hour late, and her line was outside of the hotel, if that tells you anything. I went and checked several other times. I'm just like, it would be cool, women's champion, all that fun stuff. I think she was even I don't know if she was an AEW champion. Be super awesome to get to meet her, but ended up deciding not to. And from the sounds of it, I might have been able to. She ended up staying after the convention and signed for a bunch of people. Sounds like she was super awesome about it. So that stings. Maybe she'll do another one of these one day. But if not, I'll just probably look online and see if I can't buy one at some point. But we're going to go in alphabetical order here as well. I don't know a ton about some of these people, but I'll try to mention if I know they're Hall of Famers or just people that I know and everything. Let me make sure I'm on the right list. I should put this in order. There we go. So first one is the only one that smeared kind of bad, but I don't really care because it's probably the worst looking autograph that I got. But went by a table, and these guys were kind of just trying to promote themselves to get, anyone to buy their signatures. And I was like, screw it. They were cheap. So first one is Alex Taylor of Ill Begotten. Then we have, I think she does like backstage interviews, Arcady Aura. Did kind of get some lines there throughout. I don't know if it's the pen, the surface is kind of glossy, so it could have been that, but not a big deal. This one's a big deal, and in fact, he is a big show. Paul White was the other kind of co-headliner with someone else that you'll see later in this. Got to meet him today. He was supposed to be in the kind of one-off room where Bret Hart was last year, and then they made a last-minute decision to move him elsewhere so that 2 other people could get that room. And I am actually really glad that they worked it out that way, because then I ended up in the line that I really needed to be in to start. Got through that. That took 2.5 hours. And then waited an hour for a big show, but totally worth the time. Totally worth it. Future WWE Hall of Famer right there. Then we have AEW wrestler Billy Starks. This one was awesome. He was not a last-minute addition, but was announced like a week before. And I remember watching him as a kid. He scared the crap out of me. Probably scared the crap out of most people who watched WWE at the time. And could not have been nicer. And I told him that he scared the crap out of me as a kid. So he had an awesome inscription. But this is the Boogeyman, and he's coming to get you. And he wrote, "May all your dreams be nightmares." So absolutely love it. That's a really, really awesome piece for me. Got to meet this guy at the Royal Rumble experience last year, but because they didn't offer their own items because WWE is cheap, even though all their crap is expensive, I got a poster signed and everything, and I didn't really love it. And then I saw he was going to be at this event. He didn't charge too much, so got another autograph of Carlito. This was one of the other guys at that group of tables where they were kind of promoting themselves to get an autograph, and I was like, it's like $20, might as well. Carson Drake. This guy was super nice. Didn't even recognize him because he's got long hair now. But got Chris Masters. Wanted to meet this guy last year, and then I was out of money, so didn't end up getting to meet him. And I told him that. I was like, last year, I didn't plan ahead. I didn't know what I was doing. Ran out of cash. I'm like, I made sure to save a 20 for you. And he was super personable. Chris Van Vliet. This one took me a minute to figure out who the heck it even was, because he didn't have a name tag up, and because he was part of a group, they didn't have like the individual names on the website. But I figured it out. This is former WWE wrestler Damian Sandow, who goes by a completely different name now. But thankfully, this picture of him with the money in the bank was what helped me figure out who the heck it even was. Then we got the headliner of headliners for this event. Very first line that I got into, he was 45 minutes late. I couldn't hear a single word that he said to me, but we got it, and I have a 2-time Hall of Famer, both now in the WWE Hall of Fame and in the Basketball Hall of Fame, Dennis Rodman. That was totally worth the wait. That line, I can only imagine how far back that went, because I got there like as soon as I could, and all the VIPs were already there, and we got in like 15 minutes early with the main event pass that I got, and that was long wait but worth it. This was the one that I didn't get to meet him, but I definitely wanted him in the collection, and my buddy was in line, so I popped him $60, and he got this for me. Diamond Dallas Page, Hall of Fame 2017. Got to meet this guy. He wasn't charging too much, and then I saw one of his pictures. He had a championship belt, so I said, all right, let's do it. Enzo Amore, who now goes by Real One. Here's an independent wrestler who was there last year. She may have been one of the champions from last year's Squared Circle. I don't remember. Freya the Slayer. Then we got Gail Kim. For some reason, I don't think I have any data on her that I looked up. Because again, I try to keep track of all the accomplishments and stuff by different athletes and people like that. So I don't think I've actually looked up her accomplishments yet, but that was a cool one to get. This guy, his line stayed long, and it was 3 people all at the same table. But thankfully, they were awesome about keeping the line moving. And so this was the last big line that I got, that I had to wait in. And so I was able to get everyone that I wanted on Saturday at least. Hall of Famer, the Great Muta. Then we got another AEW wrestler, Harley Cameron. Got former WWE wrestler, Isla Dawn. We got local guy, and I think he was wrestling in tonight's show. I ended up not staying. I worked a double on Thursday, went to this event Friday, went today, and I was super tired, and the event didn't even start until 8 o'clock, which was like 2 hours after everything. And I'm like, I'm going to go home. But Jake Owen. Then we got up-and-coming wrestler Jazzy Yang. They didn't have too much for her, but they did have these cool looking cards. And I think it was only $10, so I will take that. Then we got another Hall of Famer who is, I think, still active in AEW, Jeff Jarrett. Only had to wait behind one person for him. Then we got ourselves Jimmy Yang, or at one point known as Jimmy Wayne Yang. He and his daughter wrestle. He's not doing it too much anymore. I think he says he's maxing out at like one match a year. But I remember watching him as a kid, and he was one of the first names that popped up when they were announcing, guests for the event. And I was like, I'm gonna have to get him. So that was cool. Then we have an actress who started a movie about wrestling. This is Kelly Berglund, who I think was also in some Disney shows. Then we got ourselves Kelly Kelly, who now goes by Barbie Blank, because I think her real name is Barbara Blank. So she's going closer to the real name. Technically, this one should have been sooner. I couldn't see the photo, and I'm not like super well versed in everyone's gimmick from the past. So I was kind of hoping he would sign by the name that I'm gonna say, but he signed with the name that was, appropriate for the picture. But we got Kevin Nash / Diesel, Hall of Famer, NWO. There was a lot of NWO at this event. Didn't necessarily have to get this guy's autograph, but I did get his wife's on Friday night. And then I was like, I got some extra cash, and he's still here, and they don't have anyone at their table. I'll be nice. So we got Killer Cross, and over Christmas, I bought some signed books, and I bought his book. I think his name is Karrion Cross. At that point when he wrote it. So I told him that I bought his book, and he's like, did you get it signed? I was like, yeah, I got off of Premier Collectibles. It was on sale. And he's like, awesome, cool. This lady was super, super nice. She is an active wrestler, but as of right now, she is on maternity leave because she is pregnant. We got Kylie Ray. She spent a lot of time talking to me. Super, super friendly. And she didn't want to mess anything up at all the whole time. And we were talking about, she was asking me how to spell my name. A lot of them did. She's like, you can never be too sure. Everyone kind of has like a different spelling with it. I'm like, you should see my sister's name. So I told her about it. And she was fascinated with the story of, how my mom ended up naming us and everything. And she was like, oh, I didn't mean to take up too much of your time. I'm sure you're busy. I'm like, I'm getting to hang out with wrestlers. Like, I'm not going to complain if someone wants to talk to me. I think this dude scammed me out of $5, but it's okay. He's really old. We got Les Thatcher. He was signing for $15, and then he was like, do you have something with you? And I'm like, no, not really. He's like, oh, well, I'm out of photos. He's like, all I have are these ones that are on top. And I was like, huh, well, that's awkward. He's like, if you give me $5, I'll get something for you to get signed. I was like, all right, sure. So I gave him $5. So now I've given him 20. And then like, he just kind of pulls a photo out of one of the envelopes. And I'm like, isn't that what we just... So I don't know if he was actually charging $20 and he was just playing around with me. I don't know what the whole thing there was all about, but whatever. Got his autograph. I don't think she wrestles. I think she's another like backstage or announcer personality. Lexi Nair. This lady, all of us should know for being in the ring announcing, in-ring announcer. Didn't turn out as clear on this photo as I would have liked, but it is what it is. Lillian Garcia. This was one of the people that I waited 2.5 hours for this morning. Was really hoping that line would go a little bit faster, but it is what it is. I got through the Dennis Rodman line faster, even though I started off in the same spot. And they started sooner. But it was 2 of them, and the people ahead of us, of course, VIP goes first, and they're going to take their time but I'm pretty sure there was like 2 or 3 wagons that were ahead of us that were bringing like 20 to 30 items each to get signed. Um, yeah, ridiculous. It's one thing if they have like a private signing event and you do that and you drop off all that stuff, and it would be cool if they offered that for some fans, because obviously there's not enough time to get to everyone that you want to meet for some people. But to do that where it's all you get is the meet and greet is kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is. But we got Hall of Famer Lita. And then I also got a dual photo of her and then the other person that was in the room signed for my sister. Lita was her favorite wrestler growing up. And I was like, they're probably going to have dual photos because they're both going to be next to each other. So I might as well just go ahead and pay to have both done. And it turned out super well, so I'm excited to send that to her. Another one who I think does some wrestling, but also is another like announcer and backstage interviews and stuff. Madison Maxwell. We got a Hall of Famer here. She signed it as one of her other wrestling names, but the one that I am going to count it as is Hall of Famer Medusa. Then we have a Hall of Famer of another sport, so I got to add to 3 different Hall of Fames this weekend. He did do some wrestling, but he is better known for his cage fighting. This is the Hammer, Mark Coleman, who is in the UFC Hall of Fame. Along with the Great Muta, and since I already had to wait a little over an hour in line, I said, screw it, I might as well just get all 3 of these guys. We got Masahiro Chono. I didn't need to get this guy's autograph, but I had some extra cash left over at the end of the day, and he looked kind of bored, and he's cool to hang out with and talk to. I purchased an autograph of his from Fitterman Sports last year, but we got to meet Matt Riddle again. Didn't get his autograph in person last year, but at the end of WrestleCon, after waiting forever through the Hardy Boys line and then taking their time to make sure everyone got something, was awesome. Met up with my buddy who had told me about the event, and we ran into Matt Riddle on our way out and talked to him a little bit, which was cool. Then this is the last autograph that I got on Friday, and I probably would have just gotten a regular photo, but I was low on cash, and he had an offer to where you could get one of his signed trading cards for just $10. And I was like, let's do that. So this is AEW's Max Caster, who's also a rapper. It was a little embarrassing at that point. I was ready to go home, and then I, looked at my wallet. I'm like, all right, I've got $25 left. Let's see if anyone's got anything real cheap. And so I go up to him. I'm like, so it's $10 for an autographed card? He's like, yeah, we can do that. Which one do you want? And I tell him. He's like, how you doing? And I just kind of stood there for a second. I didn't say anything. I looked at him like, I'm good. I'm really tired. It just kind of hit me all at once, having worked the double the day before, and then going to this event. I didn't sleep a ton. I didn't sleep as much as I should have Thursday night, and I could kind of feel it in my face. My cheeks were burning a little bit. I think I was getting a little dehydrated, and they were pumping cold air throughout the hotel, even though it was only 40 degrees outside. Ridiculous. So he kind of gave me a look of like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'll be fine. I'm just tired. I'm going to get this autograph, and then I'm going to go home. But he was cool. Then we have Mina Shirakawa, I think is how it's pronounced. And you'll notice this giant heart right here. It was really, really loud in the corner where she was at. And so she was asking me, like, do you want this personalized? I'm like, yeah, I don't have a problem with getting it personalized. She's like, what's your name? I'm like, Landon. She's like, can you help spell that out for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. Landon. She's like, so Randon? And I'm like, and I wasn't sure if I like misheard her, and I didn't want to, like be rude because again, people have accents and everything. You never know. And I was like, yeah. So she wrote an R, and I was like, oh, it's actually an L. And she's like, huh. How are we going to fix that? And so she just kind of started coloring it in. She's like, oh, I got it. We'll make it a heart. And I was like, perfect. Awesome. I love it. So that was cool. Re-met another person, and I was not aware that their wrestling status had changed. So I didn't, realize that when I was talking to them. But she was there again. Got to talk to her at WrestleCon last year. Had a great experience with her, and so I reintroduced myself, and I was like, "Hey, I got to meet you last year, and you really liked my name because it's your nephew's name." So this is Missa Kate, and she was like, "Oh my God, yeah." She's like, "Oh, that's my favorite name ever." So she wrote my fave name on there, which was awesome. And then I asked her, like, she was like, how you doing? How you been? And I'm like, I've been good. How about you? And then she kind of like stopped for a second, and it got kind of loud because it was at a table next to Killer Cross and everything, and a few other people. And she said something, and then she apologized like a minute after. She's like, sorry for like being a real person there a second ago. She's like, it just kind of happens. But I found out afterwards that she made the decision to retire at the age of 30 years ago. And so she just, recently turned 30. And she said, no matter where I am in my career, no matter what is going on, she's like, for very many personal reasons, I will not wrestle past 30. And just kind of from reading that and everything, it sounds like she's been dealing with a lot. So totally get that. And I just hope she's doing all right. She seemed like she was having fun playing beer pong at the convention and everything. But cool that she was there. Got to say hi again and everything. Get another autograph, and she was super cool about the whole thing. Got another Hall of Famer here. Made sure to get her after the first line that I was in because I had seen. I don't have Facebook, but I can access like the first few posts of a Facebook page before they demand that I create an account, which I will not do. And I saw that they said she would only be there until about 2 o'clock due to a flight schedule. So got Hall of Famer Molly Holly. Then another guy that I got just because he was there. No one was, in line for him, and his prices weren't bad. We got Orange Cassidy. Got another Hall of Famer. The guy that was in front of me, talked to him for probably about 10 minutes about everything possible and then more. And the handler that was there just kind of kept looking at me like, is this guy serious? Like, am I going to have to kick him out? But we could tell, this guy, little different. And he was just super passionate about it. So I was like, dude, it's fine. Like, I can wait. It's not the end of the world. If this is the only guy I have to wait on, eventually we'll be fine. But got to meet Hall of Famer Paul Ellering, who signed it as Precious Paul Ellering. Then we got former wrestler Perry Saturn. And then I didn't realize she had colored contacts in until I started talking to her, and it kind of creeped me out a little bit. But she's got, great sense of style. Priscilla Kelly, who formerly was known as Gigi Dolman, I think. And then this guy, I think he won a couple championships for the brands that I pay attention to. So got him, and I think it was only about $20. Rob Conway. Unfortunately, his silver Sharpie didn't work out too great, but he was another one where I was talking about, or where we talked about, the spelling of names and everything like that. And again, I showed him how my sister's name is spelled, and he's like, yeah, I would have never guessed that in a million years, which was really funny. This lady was awesome to meet, but I felt really bad for her today. I'll explain here in a second. We got Ruby Soho, and she was super cool when I got to meet her. And then when I was in line this morning for the two Hall of Famers, Lita and someone else, she was in the hallway and she was talking to some people, and she looked kind of off when she was talking about it. So I was like, I wonder what's going on up there. And then she walked by and she was just like, guys, I appreciate you guys so much. It's just a lot right now, but really appreciate it. Thank you so much. She kind of walked away in tears. And I'm like, what's going on? What happened? And for whatever reason, in the hallway that would be used for the line for the two busiest lines of the whole expo, they that's where they booked her room, and she has a baby, and so she wanted her baby to be able to sleep while she was away. I imagine someone was watching over it, her kid, and I guess her kid got woken up, so she had to go and comfort them. And she's like, I'm trying to do what I can to make money to support my family, but at the same time, I also have to support my family directly. And people were just like, yeah, that's the territory you get in when you're a new mom. And she was obviously having to deal with that, but she seemed like she was doing better the rest of the day. But it just seemed like a rough morning for her. Then on Friday, I skipped Killer Cross, but she was standing there with him, and so I did kind of feel bad, and that's part of the reason why I also went back to get Killer Cross. But we got Scarlet Bordeaux, and that was cool to get to meet her and get her signature. And most people were doing, both of them, getting their autographs and everything, and then, or just getting Killer Cross because they're more familiar with his career. And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna get yours. And they seemed a little surprised by that. I also just realized the Perry Saturn photo has a watermark there, so he poor guy had to copy the picture from somewhere online. This lady was super awesome. People in front of me kind of talked to her for a little bit, but she was funny incident here. But she signed Shotzi Blackheart, I think is what she goes by, and she took the time to sign it out, wrote out the whole thing. She's like, okay, I just want everyone to know, you gotta be really careful with it. Don't want you to smear it. The paint pen takes a while to dry. And I was like, yeah, no, you're good. I'll be sure to handle it carefully. And as she hands it to me, she smears my name, and she's like, "Oh no! I did the one thing I said not to do." So she tossed the photo and signed a new one, which was really cool of her. But she's got a great personality and was very fun to talk to. And then the last one with the Great Muda line was Sonny Ono, and he was also very nice and talked with me for a minute. Then we got Hall of Famer of the Harlem Heat, Stevie Ray. He was, I think he had some extra pictures and he was signing them to give to the vendors to sell at future events and everything. The other Hall of Famer that I got to meet after waiting 2.5 hours was one of my favorite divas growing up. Maybe my favorite, but definitely top two. Trish Stratus. There was all kinds of pictures that I could have selected. I'm like, this one's kind of crazy. I like it. We'll do that one. She's like, I like it too. So I got to meet her second. First, it was Lita, and then I got to talk with Lita about my sister's name and my name and everything. And then she called me Logan. She's like, oh no, I feel so bad. I'm like, trust me, I have dealt with that my entire life. Even people that didn't know that my sister's name is Logan, would call me Logan because Logan's a pretty common guy name. And so she was super personal about it. And then Trish, it took a little while to meet her because on top of people having wagons of stuff to get signed, there were also people that were bringing gifts and people telling their entire life story. And Trish and Lita were extremely accommodating. I think they were still signing by like 5:45 when I walked by or something. It was crazy. And then right in front of me there was a kid, and I talked with the people he was there with, and they were super cool. But she had held up the line for one thing to get gifts, And then she talked to him for several minutes. And then immediately after was like, all right, I'm going to hold the line again. And a guy in a wheelchair came in. And I'm like, I don't have any issues with any of these things individually. Don't get me wrong. But it just kept adding to the time. And it was like, at some point, I'll get my autograph. I'll get to say hi and meet her and be like, you were, one of my favorite divas growing up and everything. So overall, great experience with that. But it was just like, come on, I want to go meet other people. But I get it. It's who knows if I'll ever get a chance to meet them again. Down to the last 3 autographs here. This was another girl that was there. Price wasn't too bad. Zeta Steel. And then we got a dual photo signed by 2 Hall of Famers, members of DX, the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn, and the recently quitting WWE Road Dogg. Love how these signatures turned out, even though they're a little bit imperfect with the green. It works perfectly for the Attitude Era DX, kind of look and everything. Both of those guys were super funny. Just kept cracking jokes and telling little stories and everything like that. But overall, fantastic experiences here. Again, one name that I didn't get to get. Not the end of the world. I wouldn't be surprised, given how her career has gone, if she continues to do these kinds of shows. I know that Saraya is open to the idea of returning to the WWE. Whether that happens or not, who knows? But beyond that, it went super well this year. Technically, would have been under budget getting everyone that I wanted until I started purchasing from the different vendors and whatnot. And there were some really good deals that were there. But one of the things that, if anyone who is a vendor is watching this somehow, the one thing I will ask you to do, please write the name of the person whose autograph that you are trying to sell. I will buy so many more from you if I can figure out who the hell these people are. um, uh, it's it it's easy with like other sports because there's like some sort of number or on their jersey or on their car that you can reference and eventually figure out whose autograph it is. With wrestling, I'm not super into wrestling and all of the lore and every wrestler and all of their gimmicks over the years. So like there's people that I would definitely recognize right away. R-Truth, Booker T, those 2 guys. Definitely I was like, I have to get this. I don't care what the price is. And I was happy with the prices as they were and everything. But I'm sure there's probably names that I missed out on, probably even potentially Hall of Famers that people had in their binders and whatnot that I just could not see the names of. But overall, a ton of autographs, great additions to the Hall of Fame collection, great additions to the wrestling collections. Got to meet so many great people, talk with people in line. And even though my feet are tired, it was totally 100% worth it, worth going both days. And it was busy. I think they broke records for how many attendees that there were. And even though I knew today was going to be crazy with the length of lines, I was still able to get everyone I wanted, even with sacrificing, the chance to meet with DDP. Um, I still got his autograph and I got to meet everyone else that I wanted to. So again, I don't know what kind of videos I'm going to continue with if I do, but I wanted to give you guys the update. I've been meaning to do a video for a long time, just kind of explaining why I stepped away the way I did again, and that I'm not done with autograph collecting. I have sent out so much stuff. I've gotten a lot of really cool stuff. I bought some cool stuff for myself for Christmas, and I just don't have the time to do everything that I want when it comes to collecting. And the main thing that I was cutting away from was the process of, getting letters sent out and, pictures printed and letters written and, more importantly, getting everything sorted and put away. This is going to take a while to get sorted and put away. But at the end of the day, not not bad when you aren't, trying to do hour-long videos, or I guess in this case 45 minutes. But that is it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it, and have always appreciated your guys' comments, support, and help over the years with this collecting and just kind of stuff in general and everything. Um, I don't think this will be the last time I post a video, but I do just want to say thank you guys so much for everything and for watching this video. Best luck with your guys' collecting. Take care.